Welcome to another edition of the Nightly Dr. Oz Show, which it's been the Dr. Oz Show all week. Ted, you don't mind, do you?
No, actually, I'm honored to have this guy here. He represents the heart and soul of the best of the Americans that I know. And again, Dr. Oz, thank you very much for being here.
I'm honored to be here, my friend.
You know, you mentioned the Constitution yesterday, Dr. Oz. I'd just like to get your take. If you were sitting in the U.S. Senate, there was a recent Supreme Court confirmation. There's the talk of court packing. What's your take on all that?
Well, Justice Jackson, because she was, now admitted to the Supreme Court, would not have been someone that I voted for. And as an example of that, the fact that she could not define what a mother is, which learning from hosting talk shows, I know I would have just asked the question, not said anything. And the senators jumped in to sort of ask another question, but she was struggling with a question that I think is pretty straightforward. And saying you're not a biologist is not the right answer, because mothers know what mothers are because you have one, right? Mothers make babies and they have things you can make babies with. And that's pretty straightforward. Those are the fundamental building blocks of society. And when you jiggle those around and muddy the waters of what defines left, right, up, down, then you get completely disoriented, which is why we need to have individuals who use the map that we were given by our forefathers. And the Constitution is important for that reason. And again, the First Amendment, one that I've treasured, and we both have, the right to say what you see and what you believe in. Second Amendment, to protect all the other amendments, the right, constitutionally given right, God-given right, that every law-abiding American citizen should all be able to own a gun of their choice. The 10th Amendment's important. As a U.S. Senator, I'll really respect that one, because you don't want, right, the federal government impinging on states' issues. Even the Department of Education, which, I don't know, name me one thing that they've done that is good. People struggle with that question.
What a shame, huh?
Right? But at least make it a best practices unit, but you take the money and give it back to the states and allow the states to do what they can do best, which is try to protect their kids. These all become part of a larger belief I have that we should not make whole-scale changes. So court packing you asked about, horrible idea. We'll pack it to 12, from 12 to 15, then they'll pack it from 15 to 18, then from 18 to 21, and before you know it, the 9-person court becomes a 37-person court, and every political shift in the waters perverts a precious process. Listen, it's not perfect, right? But marriage is not perfect. It's still the smartest thing I ever did. So you work through what you got. The only covenant you have with society is the marriage covenant. It's the only contract you sign. You don't sign your birth certificate. You don't sign your death certificate. You sign the marriage certificate. But you work at it day in and day out. And the day you stop working at it is the day it fails. It's the same for being an American citizen. Bravely fight for what's right every single day, and we'll make the best of what we can, which, by the way, is the best that has ever been done.
Ditto, ditto, ditto.
You know what? Awesome. And Dr. Oz, you've been with us every day this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now it's Thursday. We've talked about a lot of current event issues, a lot of issues that are on the ballot, really, in Pennsylvania, is people going to vote for their next senator there. I think you resonated on a lot of key topics. Before we get into Friday, which is Friday Free For All, and the guy next to you grabs his guitar, and then the weekend edition, we like to talk guns and outdoor activities like hunting. I'd like to give you one last chance while we're on the critical issues, just to speak directly to the Nightly Nuge listeners and tell them why you should be the next senator from Pennsylvania.
There's a reason why President Trump joined Ted in endorsing me, and many others as well. It's because they know I have a bold, loud voice. I've waged war on the biggest stage there is, network television. I know what it takes to take on huge adversaries and to push forward with all the might you have. I know how to land the punch and drive it through. And I'll be exactly what we need in America from Pennsylvania. We need to contribute as a Commonwealth that is a top 5 state. We have the resources to allow our country to prosper and grow. And we don't want backbenchers in there. We want people who are in the front saying, hey, here's what's going on. We got to stop this. To address some of the culture issues that wars, frankly, on American culture in a way that doesn't antagonize, is not abrasive, but is assertive, confident, thoughtful, and begins to win back the middle. Americans don't like where we are now. They're not happy with Biden. They're not happy with the Democratic agenda. You know why? Because the Democrats don't have an agenda for prosperity. They're not taking us anywhere. So let's give America what it needs, which is a new direction and is a vision for what we can become. My father was allowed to come to this country as an immigrant, recruited actually as a doctor. We didn't have enough doctors. And when he got here, and I was a young child, he said, we're going to be Republicans. And I've always been a Republican. My first election was Ronald Reagan. But what he said was that, and I said, why are we Republicans? He said, because Republicans have better ideas.
Bingo.
We take what's out there and we make it even better. People sometimes say, Oz, you're an entertainment person. Why would I trust you? Well, I have a star in Hollywood, right? The Hollywood Walk of Fame.
That's cool.
It's next to Ronald Reagan's.
Wow.
Just down the road from Donald Trump's. It's
Yeah.
not bad to be in entertainment. I never lived in Hollywood. I refused to move out there. I like just where I am now. But fundamentally, you learn how to wage wars against woke ideology, against media that's been perverted. You know how to hold your own. And that's what we need in America. And the values I have are shared by my fellow citizens in Pennsylvania, and they know that I'll fight for them. I've got the scars to prove it, and I cannot be bought.
You know what you're hearing, Keith, and everybody at the Nightly Nuge, you're hearing a constitutional warrior. He's not afraid to get down in the mud, to get down in the firestorm that is the culture war right now, especially I think is defined in Pennsylvania, because I remember real Pennsylvania, and right now it's been compromised, and I think that Dr. Oz will end that compromise and get Pennsylvania back to that rugged individualism, that spirit of independence, that entrepreneurial man in the arena. I think that Dr. Oz is the right guy for the U.S. Senate in Pennsylvania. It'll be a great upgrade.
Great stuff. Hey, Dr. Oz, if you'll join us tomorrow night, which you've committed to, the guy next to you will have a guitar in his hands, and we'll get off the topics of politics and we'll have a little more fun. How about that?
I got my pick here. By the way, there's a lots that a doctor can teach you about music and how it affects our brain. We'll get into that as well. Stay tuned.